What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode. Just kind of chilling on one of the parking garage's rooftops, waiting to go into work. I work in about 35 minutes. I'm trying to finish my roll of Tri-X that is in this Canon AE-1 program. I just recently acquired 2 of these through a good friend of mine, Michael Mooney. I will link his Instagram down below. You guys should definitely check him out. Give him a follow. Tell him thanks for the donations for the student class. That is amazing. I've gotten so much help for this student class that I'm putting on. I can't even tell you how awesome that is. But yeah, so I think this is the last frame that I have on here. I'm going to move on to Lomography's 800 speed film, and I'm loading that up because I want to start shooting some night images and get ready for a project that I'm doing with that. I'm attending coworker's wedding tomorrow, and I'm not hired to be the photographer there, but I'm definitely going to try to take some memorable shots for them on film, make them pretty like I normally do. I will put a picture right here. And I took that picture about 3 years ago. Other coworkers of mine got married, and I was not a hired photographer for the wedding, but I was there just taking some shots, doing some documentary stuff that I normally do, and acquired these awesome photos. So I'm hoping to do the same kind of thing for this wedding. I did their engagement photos and stuff like that, so I kind of just want to like wrap the whole thing up with some photos that I've taken, you know, just do something cool for them and nice for them as a like wedding gift per se. But I'm gonna finish this last shot, and then I'm gonna load up this Lomo 800 and try to get a couple shots in before work. So I'm gonna kind of make this a Lomography 800 review with a Canon AE-1 review. So it's gonna be 2 in 1. So it's the AE-1 program plus Lomography 800. Let's get this party started. Yeah. All right, so last frame, there's a guy sitting down here at a dinner table. Let that be the last shot of this black and white film that I will develop tonight. I will show you guys before we wrap this video up. I want to show you my first roll shot with the AE-1. Alright, so right now I am developing the Canon AE-1 program shots. I'm developing the black and white Tri-X that I shot, and I shot that pushed to 1600, and I also shot a roll of Lomography's 800, which is that kind of yellow tinted with black, and I shot most of those shots at the wedding. You ask, what wedding? This wedding. It's tough to keep going though. Like, you know, you go in waves. Like sometimes I'm just like on it for forever. I'm like on the grind doing it, and then other times I go, you know, I feel like I haven't like taken one of my walks in a really long time. Like where I just like go cruise and, you know, burn 2 rolls or something like that. Like, all right, so here it is. It's the Canon AE-1 program. This is what I ran around and shot. Actually, at the moment, I have 2 of them, which is crazy, going from none to 2 in the matter of a day. But I have been shooting this one because it came with this 24mm SSC FD lens, which I love shooting wide angle. As you guys probably noticed in all my photographs, I'm always using a wide angle lens. I just love getting up close and still having a decent background for things. I couldn't even tell you the last time I shot a 50mm lens. But I did want to give you a couple specs of the camera, some common knowledge, stuff you can look up on Google, but I figured I'd save you the trip. The AE-1 program was introduced in '81 as the successor to the AE-1. And the difference between the two cameras, the AE-1 program, it automatically picks your shutter speed and aperture, which for a camera from the 80s doing all that stuff on its own, like you can just put it on automatic and go. I mean these things were, you know, known for their light meters and being pretty accurate, and I have to vouch for them. You know, I kind of just threw it in auto with the first black and white roll and went with it. You know, there were a couple shots that I wanted a little more moody, as, you know, I'm always heavy in the blacks with my photos and kind of borderline underexposed, so I adjusted accordingly. But, you know, this thing is fully automatic. And you can pop out a fully automatic too and, you know, use this camera on a shutter priority or an aperture priority, or just shoot it, you know, manual. That's a pretty cool option. And it takes, you know, it takes all the FD lenses, which I have been collecting quite a few of them lately. Like I have the 24, I have a 35, I have a 28 and two 50s. So I have quite the plethora of these. I would actually like to get a 85 or a 135, something a little more portrait oriented, because I am so comfortable with these little Canons that I would love to use them for portrait sessions. It takes a pretty common battery that you can find. I actually found one at Kroger. It's the 28L. It's a 6-volt battery. They run you around $10. That's pretty much the average. And I looked on Amazon as well. They're 5 something, almost $6 with shipping, runs you about $10, which I'm assuming these batteries last a long time. This is like I said, this is the first time owning one of these, but I also used the 28L in my Veronica ETRS and had that camera for, you know, 2 or 3 years and never once had to change the battery. So I mean, I'm guessing it all depends on how much you use it, but it's a very, very common battery. That's gonna be it for the specs. I mean, the camera is very, very common. When I carry my FTB around all the time, I get asked if it's a Canon AE-1, and I believe there were millions and millions of these made, so they're not that hard to find, and I don't think they're that hard to find in good condition. There is a shutter squeal that they are known for. I don't know if it's a fixable issue. Like I said, I'm new to this. I will bring you a proper review of this camera. This is kind of, like I said, a first impression. So I really didn't have any shutter squeal with these, so I don't know much about it other than what I've seen online. But these are fine, and I'm sure you can find ones that are still fine. Any noob getting into film photography, usually they are drawn to the AE-1 because it's, I mean, you can go fully manual and you can still shoot automatic, which if you're just getting into film photography, I would say pick one of these up because it's pretty easy to shoot. You know, you can just set it and kind of forget it and go shoot. One thing I did notice that I didn't really like at first, but I love now, is the weight difference. From the FTB to the AE-1 is a giant difference. Like, the FT and the FTB cameras are super, super heavy. I kind of like that. I like weight. It's easier to nail focus when you're shooting at like a longer shutter speed, which I noticed that like at that wedding, some of the wedding pictures were completely out of focus, and I think it's because I gotten so accustomed to the FTB being a heavier camera that it absorbs, you know, it absorbs the shock of the mirror clap and all that stuff, and it's just, you know, the heavier the camera, the less movement you're gonna get when you're taking a picture. So I feel like I'm gonna have to get used to that. I have to be a little more careful and hold it a little more steady when taking longer exposures. So, you know, the weight difference is the only thing that kind of threw me off at first. Now, I love it. It's so easy to carry, especially with the sling strap. You just throw that thing on and go, and it's perfect. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the AE-1 as of thoughts right now. I mean, I think it's a super solid camera. I'm glad the batteries are easy to find, and you know, the meter's pretty much dead on. I didn't really have to worry about metering at all. I'm sure you noticed I was talking about the 800 lomography film. Some of those images I turned to black and white. The setting of the reception for the wedding was very heavy and yellow, so it was just making everything super orange and yellow. So that's why I converted a couple of those pictures to black and white. I don't normally ever do that. I kind of frown on doing that, but I thought they were solid images, especially converting them to black and white. And I also threw those blurrier images in there to use as a kind of a reference, as in what I was talking about, you know, the weight difference. And I think that played in with, you know, my photos being a little more out of focus than they normally are. I'm pretty good at hitting focus on a manual focus lens, so I'm thinking it's a weight shift that I need to get used to. Yeah, that's gonna be it for this one. If you guys have any questions, I am a noob on the Canon AE-1, so I might not know like I would with, say, the FTB, but if you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at timothy.makeups. You can also find me every Wednesday on iTunes and Google Play and Podbean with the Analog Talk podcast. It's a podcast I co-host with Chris Bartolucci, and we usually have a different film photography related guest on each week. You can definitely find that on iTunes and stuff like that, so check that out. And I also do a Monday through Friday podcast called We Believe in Film. That is just me, and that is on the Anchor FM app. And if you don't have that, you can also find that on Google Play and iTunes. Yeah, guys, I hope you're having a good week, and I will see you Sunday, hopefully. I don't want to promise, but you know, I'm gonna give it a go. It's Polaroid week. I have to shoot Polaroids.